So part 2 will be designed for the do-it-yourselfer, the driveway detailer that wants to do this at his house. I'm going to show you how to do it if you don't want to invest the money in the actual tools and products that I use at a professional level to do it. It will take you longer, but it's still very doable. So let me show you how I would do it. Now, likely if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you will not have a professional grade heat gun at your access, but you have an alternative called the hair dryer. So find a hair dryer in your house and set it to the highest setting. It will take you longer to heat this up, but if you apply a little patience, it will heat it up enough. And what you're trying to do is, the goal is to heat up the double-sided tape that this chrome emblem is attached to the paint with. That way you can slice through it with some dental floss. Now I'm still going to use my heat gun, and I'm going to prepare my dental floss first. I have about that much length, which is about 2 feet or so. Gives me enough to wrap around the ends of my fingers so I can get leverage as I slice through it. So I definitely recommend using a heat gun. You can still cut through it. You'll go through lots of dental floss. It will take a lot longer. So if by all means you can use a heat or a hair dryer, definitely do it. If you are patient enough and you allow that double-sided tape to really heat up nice and good, you should be able to just slice through this pretty easily like butter. See, there goes my dental floss. It only lasts so long. So whip out some more really quick. Hopefully you can get to it before the emblem has a chance to solidify again and cool down. Which it is, so I'm going to heat it up again. Okay, ba-bam, it's off. Now, if you don't have access to the eraser tool and you don't want to get it, I highly recommend it. It's like a $35 tool. As long as you got a drill motor, it will save you a lot of aggravation and will save your fingertips. Because at this point, what you have to do is you have to sit here and rub and grab with your fingertips and peel back this double-sided tape. Now, it will only take a few letters before your fingertips feel like they want to fall off. And likely if you did this whole truck with just your fingertips, by the time you were done, you would have blisters. You will have created the blisters on your fingertips, because what happens is I think the outermost layer is called the epidermis. It literally pushes and pulls to the point where it separates and then it fills up with water. It's very painful. You will not be able to use your fingertips for a few following days, but it can be done. Then after you're done removing the double-sided tape, then you can take something as simple as rubbing alcohol and you can remove the residual adhesive. The problem is that you will be rubbing so much, even if you use a cloth like a microfiber that's very friendly to the paint, you will still have to rub so many times in order to break down that adhesive that you will abrade the paint. Now, on a light colored car, it will be less of an issue than on a black, obviously. So on a black car, you have to follow up with some kind of polish, whether by hand or machine. Unfortunately, if you're using it by hand and you actually have a polish with abrasives in it, which is what you have to do in order to do true polishing, is you scratch your way to perfection. So once you have created the abrasions in the paint, you will need a polish that is more than a chemical polish. because you need some abrasives to now remove those scratches or those abrasions away with finer and finer scratches. By doing it by hand, if you have a true compound with some granules and abrasives in it, you will find that you will abrade or scratch a swirl pattern into your paint that will be very visible on a dark colored car. So once again, you will have limitations if you just don't have some type of proper tools in order to do this. But it can be done, especially on a light colored car, because only in the right lighting will you be able to discern that there's some scratches there. Now this might be the time, if you're presented with this situation and you've been sitting on the fence as to whether to invest any money in a car polisher or car buffer. So on my link, I have a page that I have built that is dedicated to car polishing for the absolute true beginner, meaning the guy that has never even held a buffer in his hand. You can do it. You can get professional results. It is very safe. So check out that link also, because you can do it. So maybe at this point you realize, hey, I've got a truck or a car. I want to remove the emblems, but I know I'm going to need to polish it afterwards because I don't want to invest the money in the eraser tool or the rapid remover, but I still want to do it. And I've been wanting to polish my car and use a buffer, but I've been sitting on the fence because I hear endless reviews. Some people say this, some people say that. Well, follow my advice. It can be much more simpler than it would suggest by going on the forums. So check out that page. Now, I'm not going to sit here and wear my fingertips off. I just wanted to show you that it is in fact possible. I'm now going to use my 3M eraser tool, cut to the chase, and really get this job done. Welcome to the eraser tool. We have some residual adhesive right here. So this is where I talk about that you could use rubbing alcohol, far less effective. You will likely abrade the paint, taking it off. The rapid remover is so amazing, so effective. So all I'm going to do is just lightly rub, and what I'm feeling for is any high points, which means that there's some adhesive left over. I just allow a little bit of dwell time, and I'm just using my finger to kind of speed that up, because what the rapid remover does is it literally dissolves and breaks down that adhesive. I've got a stubborn little piece right here that doesn't want to break down. I'm going to help it a little bit with my fingernail, and little by little it literally dissolves away. And now I'm feeling smooth and clean. Take my microfiber, rub it down. Like I said, it's water soluble. It's that quick. Now, I don't know if this is going to show up in the camera, but you can see that ghost shadow that's created when I get this wet. It's kind of like when you fog a mirror and you write something in it and then it dries and you can't see it, and then the fog goes back on and you can see where you wrote. I don't really understand the science behind that, but that's what happens here. So what I'm going to be doing, because this is black and I want true perfection, is I'm going to be hitting this with a light polish, because I'm going to also continue to detail the entire truck. I'm going to hit this with a light polish and remove any trace of this outline that is sometimes left over, despite you know that there's no adhesive or double-sided tape, because it's perfectly smooth, but it will still leave a slight line around those letters, and that can be polished away pretty easily. At this point, we have complete removal, and it is taken to what I would call 99.9% completion or perfection. But as an added note, it is very common, and this is more common the longer these emblems or badges are allowed to remain on the vehicle, for a perimeter to be worn into the paint or the clear coat. So despite having removed 100% of the double-sided tape and the adhesive, if you look in the right shadow, and it's not happening on this truck, at least not on the doors, but is happening on the tailgate. So I'm going to pay special attention to the emblem area that I removed off the tailgate. But you will see an outline of the letters. The only way to remove that is to polish it away, because literally this is silky smooth and it is completely flat. So I know that what happens is the dirt will collect around the individual lettering and create a wear pattern into it as the car rolls and vibrates, and it gets a little dirt underneath there, which is very common, and it will abrade a little tiny outline of the lettering. So I want 100% perfection. So I'm going to polish these areas now that I'm complete. Now really, this is really splitting hairs, because most people do not have a trained enough eye to even discern the difference, and you would literally have to get in the perfect lighting, which is revealing lighting, to see those actual marks. What I have is my Menzerna polishes. I will start out with the, let's see if this is cool. And Menzerna is not the only one that does this. For example, we have their, what they call their high performance compound, FG, which stands for Fast Gloss 400. And you can see on this little scale that is very aggressive. Then we have their superior performance, which is SF 4000, which is, you can see on the scale that it's a very fine polish. And then I'm going to finish up with the Menzerna Power Lock, which is a polymer sealant. So I'm going to start this compound with a foam cutting pad. I'm going to use this polish with a foam finishing pad, and then I'm going to apply this by hand. So let's get started. Since this is such a small area, I'm not going to worry about breaking out the pad washer. I've already got my Griot's Garage. And by the way, go to the links that are contained in the show more box of this video. And because to me, this is really the winning combination that you'll find on that page between the buffer, the pads, and the products. Now, this is what's difficult, is that combination. You can buy all three polishes and Power Lock in a combination and save a little money. It's not going to make or break your world, because it's not exactly the FG 400 or so forth. But just know that they will work, and you don't have to overthink it. There's only subtle differences between the compounds and the fine polishes if you buy them in a package that will save you money. So trust me, just don't overthink it, okay? And this buffer, for 80% of you out there, whether you're a driveway detailer or a professional, it will work. It will produce the results that you need to produce in order for you to make money and to become profitable. Very user friendly. So that's what I'm going to do on this one. I'm setting the speed to 4.5 on the dial on the back of this Griot's Garage DA buffer. And I'll show you, because as a rule, newbies tend to want to use more of everything, because as society we've been trained to learn that more is always better. Sometimes more is just more, and sometimes more is actually not better. So this is how many dollops of polish that I'm going to begin with, that will be more than sufficient to polish this little area. Now you'll notice a couple things, and a couple things you won't be able to notice because you're not here in the moment. is that I went way out of boundaries. The emblem or the badge was contained to this area right here, but I polished this whole area because I want to go outside the boundaries and essentially blend in the polished area to the surrounding areas. Also, there's a slight character line here, a slight concave. I don't need, but because the pad can be held right here, that is directly parallel and flat with this, there's no need to tape this off. Even if I hit the buffer with this, because it's chrome, it's not going to do any damage to it, but I don't want polish to be crammed into that seam. But the buffer pad was not hitting it, so I did not need to tape it off. Also, I did not go over this seam here, so I did not need to tape that off, but I did go out of boundaries as far as where the actual emblem was. And at the beginning, I use more pressure and allow the pressure and the polish to do its job. And then at the end, what I do is I back off on the pressure and I just slowly work at a very flat angle and very smooth pace and allow that polish to do its job to reduce the swirl marks or the holograms that will be left by the compound, which is very minimal when it comes to the Menzerna product. It is an incredibly user-friendly product to use and delivers true professional results. Now I'm going to switch pads, and I've got my finishing pad here, and as a rule I always double check visually as well as feeling the pad to make sure there's nothing on it, foreign debris, material that could possibly do some damage. Once again, minimal amount of polish, just a few dollops. I'm working in a very small area of the paint, so I have about 10 little dollops right there, which really is more than enough. I'm going to keep this at a 4.5 setting, and then I'll reduce it at the end for what the industry now likes to call jeweling, I think is what the new over dramatized word is. Now we're into jeweling. So that was at a 4.5 setting, and you'll notice that before I went out of bounds, now I even went out of bounds further. Why? Because I'm once again trying to blend it into the rest of the truck. I'm not going to polish this entire truck. So this is a fine polish. This is the finished product as far as polishing goes. So now I want to take it past that point where I use the compound and then blend from the compound line of demarcation to then blend it into the surrounding panel of this paint. I did the finish cut, for lack of a better word, to remove holograms. Now I'm really going to do that jeweling. I think that's what they're calling it. You know, they keep coming up with these glorified terms that essentially are just glorified terms. It just makes it sound that much more special and cool, and we all get led by the nose by the industry because now they've just changed the rules. It's like, oh, now I've got to find special polishes and pads and techniques so that I can jewel the paint to perfection rather than just polishing. Because jeweling, yeah, that's much more glamorous and appealing than just simply polishing paint to perfection. So I'm going to reduce this down to a 2.5 and go with some jeweling for perfection. I don't know if you happen to notice my marks on my pad. I've got 2 marks here and there. So one at 6 o'clock, one at 12 o'clock. So I can tell if it's rotating. I'm not sure if you're paying attention to that. So I'm using very light pressure and I'm allowing the polish to do its job. I'm not trying to force it by applying additional pressure at this point. I'm letting it just slowly polish its way to perfection by allowing the product and the pad and the speed setting to do its job. So simply time to wipe away and reveal the retina burning shine that I've created. And if the sun was actually out, I would probably be blinded by the light. Once again, an obscure reference to a song from the Wayback Machine. Okay, so I am looking at it from different angles where the emblems were. I see no trace outline whatsoever. So at this point, aside from laying a layer of wax or sealant for protection and additional visual enhancement, I have perfection now. There you have it, folks, our finished product. So if you live in the Orange County, California area or closely surrounding areas and you want professional car or truck debadging and you want professional grade results, and I mean perfection, then give me a call. We will come and we will perform professional car debadging. So check out the link below. You can see the pricing. And if you have any questions, reach out. I'm just a phone call away.